if you want to build real wealth. Earn more, save more, invest more. More money than U.S. government. Same era, same country, completely different outcome. How the money should behave for generations. Most people trying to build wealth are playing the wrong game. They're grinding harder, earning more, saving more, investing in the S&P 500 like everyone told them to do. And after years of doing everything right, they look up and realize they're still one bad year away from starting over. That's not a discipline problem. That's not an income problem. That's an infrastructure problem. And that distinction right there is the entire difference between how the middle class builds wealth and how the ultra wealthy build wealth. The Rockefellers didn't become one of the most powerful families in America in history because they worked harder than anyone else. They built a system, a specific deliberate architecture that made their wealth almost impossible to lose and almost inevitable to grow. Here's what most financial advisors won't tell you, that system has a name. It's called the Rockefeller Method, and it's not just for billionaires. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how it works, the two core tools at the center of it, and how the Rockefellers use them to build generational wealth, and how you can start building your own version of this system, regardless of where you're starting from. I'm Norm Westervelt with Wealth Factory, and we've spent years helping entrepreneurs and families implement this exact framework. And by the end of this video, you're going to see wealth building in a completely different way that you did when you clicked on it. Let's get into it. The wealth gap isn't about income. It's about infrastructure. Here's the belief that's keeping most people stuck. They think the path to becoming a millionaire looks like this: earn more, save more, invest more, and wait longer. And if you do these four things consistently enough, eventually you'll get there. And look, that's not wrong. That will build wealth over time. But here's what that approach is missing. Every dollar you earn is passing through a leaking system before it ever has a chance to compound. You're paying taxes at the highest rate possible. You're paying interest to the banks on loans and mortgages. You're paying fees inside your investment accounts. You're paying insurance premiums that disappear into a void. And your attorney and your accountant aren't talking to each other, so decisions made in one corner of your financial life are quietly destroying the value of another. The wealthy just don't earn more, they leak less. Think about it this way. Two people earn the same income, same job, same salary, some investment returns, but one of them has a system that coordinates every financial decision: taxes, insurance, estate planning, investing, so that every dollar is doing the maximum amount of work. Over 30 years, these two people end up in completely different places, not because of income, but because of infrastructure. This is the first thing you have to accept if you want to build real wealth. Earning more is the starting point, but the system you run that income through is what determines whether it compounds into generational wealth or quietly disappears. The Rockefellers understood this better than almost any other family in history, and they built their infrastructure around two specific tools. Let's talk about those now. So if it's infrastructure that separates the wealthy from everyone else, what does that infrastructure actually look like? Because here's where it gets interesting. The two tools at the center of it have been hiding in plain sight for over a century, and most people walk right past them. I want to tell you about two families. At their peak, the Vanderbilts had more money than the United States Treasury. Let that land for a second. More money than U.S. government. And 54 years later, after Cornelius Vanderbilt died, 54 years, the first Vanderbilt died broke. Within one generation, the wealth was essentially gone. Mansions sold off, estates turned into museums. One of the greatest fortunes in American history, gone in 2 generations. Now, contrast that with the Rockefellers. John D. Rockefeller built his fortune around the same era, and 7 generations later, 7. The Rockefeller family is still one of the wealthiest and most influential families on the planet. Same era, same country, completely different outcome. What was the difference? 2 things: trust and permanent life insurance. The Vanderbilts didn't use trust to protect and transfer their wealth. Cornelius passed away, everything directly to his eldest son. No instructions, no protection, no systems, just money, handed over to one person, to the next generation with no guardrails. The Rockefellers did the opposite. They put their assets inside trusts, legal structure that protected their wealth from taxes, from creditors, lawsuits, and from heirs who weren't ready to be good stewards. The trust didn't just protect the money, it held the instructions for how the money should behave for generations. And they layered permanent life insurance on top of that, and every single heir born into the Rockefeller family got a policy. Not because they were worried about death, but because they understood that the death benefit created a perpetual family bank, a pool of capital that replenished itself every time a family member passed away, creating liquidity for the next generation, no matter what the market is doing. The Vanderbilts had more money than the U.S. Treasury in no system. The Rockefellers had the system. One family has mansions that are now museums. The other is 7 generations deep and still building. This is the foundation of the Rockefeller Method. 2 tools: trust and permanent life insurance. Let's go deeper on both, starting with the one that most people overlook completely. Now, trust. Most people think they're just for billionaires. A legal document you set up when you're 80 and hand to your attorney. And what if I told you a trust is actually the most powerful financial move a working entrepreneur can make right now? And most people are missing it entirely. Here's why. Here's a concept that will change how you think about money forever. The wealthy don't think in dollars. They think in systems. Every dollar Rockefeller family member spends goes through what functions like a family bank, not a bank account, a living, breathing financial ecosystem built around trust and permanent life insurance, where capital circulates, compounds, and perpetuates across generations. Here's how it works. Permanent life insurance policy, specifically a whole life insurance policy, designed with what's called paid-up additions, builds cash value over time. That cash value is yours. You can borrow against it at favorable rates without triggering a taxable event. You use it to fund investments, start businesses, buy real estate, and then when you pay it back, not to a bank, but back into your own system. Meanwhile, the death benefit sits on top like a financial guarantee. When a Rockefeller family member passes away, the death benefit flows back into the family trust, replenishing the family bank. The next generation has liquidity. The cycle continues. And that's the part that makes this genuinely remarkable. Every dollar inside this system is doing 3 jobs simultaneously. Job number 1, it's building guaranteed cash value that compounds tax advantage every single year. Job 2, it's accessible as collateral, so you can fund opportunities without liquidating your assets and triggering taxes. And job 3, it's building a death benefit that will transfer to your heirs tax-free and replenish the family bank when you're gone. $1, 3 jobs simultaneously. Compare that to $1 sitting in a savings account, doing 1 job at a mediocre interest rate, or $1 in the market doing 1 job with full volatility exposure. The wealthy aren't smarter than everyone else. They just make their dollars work harder. And the trust wraps around all of this like a legal force field. It protects those assets from lawsuits. It protects them from estate taxes. It passes to the next generation with instructions instead of just a lump sum and a prayer. Now here's the line I want you to remember and write this down. There's no such thing as self-insurance. There's only insured or not insured. And not insured means you are the bank, which means when something goes wrong, you pay. The Rockefellers made the insurance company carry the risk. They kept their capital working. That is the game. Now here's where most people hit a wall. They hear about all this and think, okay, I need a great financial advisor. I'll call my accountant. I'll call my attorney. I'll get this all set up. But what actually happens next is the hidden wealth killer that nobody ever talks about. And it might be happening to you right now. Let me paint you a picture that will feel uncomfortably familiar. You have an accountant. They file your taxes and they do a solid job keeping you compliant. You have an attorney that drafted your LLC and maybe a basic will, and you have a financial advisor. They put you in a portfolio and they send you a quarterly statement. You might even have an insurance agent. They sold you a term policy and check it once a year. Now, how often do these four people talk to each other? Almost never. And that silence is costing you a fortune. Here's a real example of what this looks like. Your attorney recommends a C corporation structure for your business. Great choice potentially. A C corporation held for at least 3 years allows you to sell up to $15 million tax-free under the right conditions. But if your accountant wasn't part of your entity decision, they might be filing your taxes in a way that quietly negates the benefit. Neither of them did anything wrong, they just weren't working from the same sheet of music. Your financial advisor puts you in a diversified portfolio, good strategy on its own, but they don't know that your insurance policy is structured in a way that duplicates some of that risk coverage, which means you're paying twice for protection you only need once. This is what the Rockefellers solved with what is called a family office. A family office is a coordinated financial team of attorneys, accountants, insurance specialists, and investment advisors, all working together with a unified strategy. Every decision accounts for every other decision. There's no leakage between departments. There's no duplication and no silent tax liability being created in one corner while someone else is trying to reduce it in another corner. For the Rockefellers, at their level, this meant hiring an entire private financial team. We're talking about $300 million in minimum net worth, often billionaires spending millions of dollars annually just on coordination. But that's not the only model. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. Your rate of return doesn't matter as much as your rate of leakage. And most entrepreneurs are leaking wealth through the gaps between their advisors right now. Not because these advisors are bad, but because nobody is coordinating the whole picture. So we've covered the infrastructure problem, the two core tools, the family bank, and the coordination piece. Now the question I get every single time is, okay Norm, this sounds incredible, but is this actually accessible to me? Or is this just something I learn about and then watch wealthy people do? Here's the answer. Here's the myth I want to destroy before we close. The Rockefeller Method is not a strategy you unlock when you hit a certain net worth. It's a strategy you use to get there. Yes, a single family office requires hundreds of millions of dollars. Yes, some of the advanced insurance structures require significant capital to access. But the core of the Rockefeller Method, you can start building it right now. Here's what that actually looks like in practice. Step 1, get your trust in place. A basic revocable trust, a will, power of attorney, medical directives. Costs maybe around $2,500 with the right attorney. That's it. $2,500. You go from zero protection to having your assets pass privately, efficiently, and according to your instructions. No probate, no courts making decisions on your behalf, no public record of what you owned. You don't need to be worth $1 million to get $1 million mishap, a lawsuit, an accident, a health event. Any of these without a trust means the courts get involved in your family's financial life. The trust closes that door. Step 2, design your permanent life insurance policy correctly. Notice I said design, because this is where most people get burned. They buy a whole life policy without understanding the design of that policy that determines everything. A policy designed for maximum agent commission will perform completely differently than a policy designed for the Rockefeller Method. What you're looking for is a policy from a mutual company, one where the policyholders own the company, not the stockholders. You want a minimum guaranteed interest rate, and you want a dividend history that goes back at least 100 years through recessions, depressions, wars, and market crashes. And you want paid-up additions structured to build cash value efficiently from day one. When it's designed correctly, this becomes the engine of your family bank, the foundation everything else gets built on. Step 3, start coordinating your financial team. Even if you can't afford a full family office right now, you can start having the right conversations. Get your accountant and your attorney on a call together. Make sure your insurance strategy and your investment strategy are being looked at in the same room. Start treating your financial life as a system, not a collection of separate relationships. This alone will find money you didn't know you were losing. And here's the thing I want to leave with you. The Rockefellers didn't build 7 generations of wealth because they were smarter than the Vanderbilts. The Vanderbilts were arguably just as brilliant. They built 7 generations of wealth because they built a system first and then let the system do the work. You don't have to start with everything, you just have to start. One trust, one correctly designed policy, one conversation with your financial team, and it's finally working together. That's the first brick. And the families who lay that brick, regardless of what they're worth today, are the ones who look back over 30 years and realize they have built something that will outlast them. Let's bring this all the way home. Becoming a millionaire using the Rockefeller Method isn't about earning more than everyone else. It's about building the infrastructure that the wealthy have quietly used for over a century, while everyone else has focused on rate of return. Here's what we covered today. The wealth gap isn't about income, it's about infrastructure. The wealthy leak less, and that changes everything over time. Trust and permanent life insurance are the 2 tools at the center of the Rockefeller Method. The Rockefeller used them both. The Vanderbilts used neither. 7 generations later, only one of these families is still building wealth. The family bank concept turns every dollar into a triple threat asset, building cash value, creating accessible capital, and funding a tax-free death benefit simultaneously. Your financial team, working in silos, is silently destroying the wealth you have already earned. Coordination isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. And you can start building all of this right now, regardless of where you are today. If you want the full blueprint Every piece of this is laid out for you step by step. It's inside our book, What Would Billionaires Do? It walks through the complete Rockefeller Method framework in a way you can actually implement from wherever you're starting. The link is in the description. If you're ready to stop learning about this and actually start building it, reach out to our team at Wealth Factory. We'll show you exactly what your version of this system looks like. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's the one piece of your financial life right now that feels the most uncoordinated? I read every single one of these comments, and it helps me know exactly what to cover next. And we'll see you in the next one.